Okay, so I guess you all know where I'm from.
New Jersey?
New Jersey. Never been there, sorry. Yeah, no. But yeah, look, I'll let you know now, I'm a bit outside my comfort zone. I did a course that a lot of us did through Ashley Boswell, and it's created a pathway for me to come here and share with you from Australia, which you guys seem to find really interesting. I'm kind of scratching my head, and I'm going, well, I'll make this work to my advantage. So I was just wondering if you could all say, "G'day, mate," back to me, and I'd like to hear how that sounds, because I like to have a bit of, crowd engagement. I don't want all eyes on me, because I'm really quite, I live in the mountains. I'm a hillbilly. I literally go and hang out with my horses, and then when God calls me to, I then connect the horses with the people. This is really quite challenging for me. So could we give me a "G'day, mate" to make me feel like I'm back home? G'day, mate. Where'd that one come from? That was good. We could adopt you back home. Nice. So, I guess today I'm talking about being connected. And we've spoken a lot about connection, how connection looks in teamwork, how connection looks in leadership. I'm going to look at it differently from a horse's viewpoint. What connection looks like from a horse. And I was here to talk about carriage driving, but I don't really have anything here I can demonstrate with because I haven't got the foundations down pat yet. A bit like God with us, if we don't have our early training foundations right, He can't move us into the next phase. So I was sitting down and I was praying and I did what I did best. I went and hung out with horses. And I thought, well, I'll let the horses talk to me, because I know people say they don't talk, but they do. They use their body language, they use their mannerisms. And you know what? The people we work with do that too. And the horses that are trying to push us out of their space are usually the ones that are just getting inconsistent messages from us. So I don't really do Pat Pirelli or natural horsemanship, and we're going to get to that because I think that's going to be a really interesting topic. I've heard natural horsemanship come up so much since, I've been in this space. And I think that would look different to every single table. So I'm going to have small group discussions throughout this for you guys to think, what is your journey, what is your path? Because just because this is my journey and my path doesn't mean it's going to be right for you, but it's right for me, and it's right for right now, and it's right for where I am. And we're all in different varying phases of the journey. And for some of you this might be confronting, but I'm sorry, I've got to speak the word of the Lord. So I really want you to just sort of, sit down and think why you're here and what you're doing, so that when you go home you can have a clear plan. Because for me to work with a horse, I have to go in there with no agenda, but I do have to have a plan of what I do want to achieve. I have to know that I want to change that if my communication's not working. So I guess an example is I've been having people share some of the horses' mannerisms with me. So I've gone to their space to find out why they're doing that mannerism. And when I've sat back, I've had to go in there with an agenda. I've had to go in and go, well, why is this horse doing what it's doing? We have to go in with an agenda with people too. Jesus came in with an agenda. He came in and he confronted us. Yes, he was love, but he expanded our minds to think. And we need to also have pressure. I'm all about being connected, but without connection, you need pressure to have connection. It just doesn't go hand in hand. To me, I can walk up and ask for a connection, but if I'm being ignored and you guys weren't looking at me, I have to ask politely. But if I was over here and I'm chatting to you and I'm like, I'm just going to wait till you're ready. Oh, good darling. But sometimes we've got to get a job done. I'm not saying there's not a place for that, but we do need to get a job done. But first of all, we need to get Jesus to work on our hearts. And that's where the real work starts. Looking at our internal motivation. So, how to stay connected. John 15:2. So I'm referencing John 15. And in that, every branch in me that doesn't bear fruit, he takes away. Every branch that bear fruits, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. John 15:2. That kind of sounds like something's being asked of me. That's the, almost the first start of it. Then you go to John 15:5. I am the vine, you are the branches. He who remains in me and I in him bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. So if we just sat back and waited and waited and waited, would we ever do anything? There's an action to this. The action is to come to God and to say, remove from me what is not serving you. And then you go all the way down to John 15:7. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, you will ask whatever you desire and it will be done for you. So, I think I just want to sort of have some prayer time before we start, because I really want this to be a time of like us just having reflection on the journey we're on and where we're going to. And if you feel connected to pray for somebody else or you feel connected to join hands, please do that. I'm not actually going to lead this. I'm just going to sit here, because the first thing we need to do to bear fruit is to be able to sit in peace and quiet. The first thing we need our horses to be able to do is to manage their own space and stand still. If your horse can't manage its own space and stand still, how can you ask it to do anything else? How can we ask God to do anything else with us? Then comes the action part, but I think we're just going to spend some time. And this is actually, an exercise I do back in Australia, and I'm all about breathing and mindfulness, but in balance. So we call it hold your horses. Okay, so you come into the space, and before you're allowed to enter this space, this pen here is a space for my horses. It's a sanctuary. I don't care what you do on the outside here, but when you come into my horse's space, because first and foremost, I'm a horse rescue. Okay, I have 28 horses, and horses have come to me because of well-meaning people, and their intentions have fallen short. So now we don't actually have sponsors and we don't have donors. Everything is self-funded by God. We don't have a single sponsor for 28 horses. But somehow my barn is always full. I say no more, but they keep coming. And then the people come that connect with the horses. So I thought, I'm connecting with you now, sharing you my story. Now we're going to get quiet and we're going to connect and see what it is God needs to remove from us right now, so that we can have our eyes open and our ears open and our hearts open to receive from him, not to receive from Erin, because Erin doesn't know what she's doing. Erin doesn't know why she came all the way from Australia, but I'm here, I'm obedient. God put the pressure on, God asked, I went, oh yeah. And then now I'm like, yep, here we are. So I'm going to examine my heart right now too, that I don't have any impure motives before I work with this horse. I'm performance-based. I was a professional jockey. I've done performance horses. Horses were only worth something if they could do something for me. Now, that just hit me. Sorry. You know what? Everything's valuable. All these horses here, once upon a time I just would have laughed at them. Now I see their heart. I see what they've given, and God sees your heart. So let him just examine your heart right now. Okay, I just thank you, Lord, for the time that we can come together. And I don't close my eyes and pray. I'm just like a bullet point prayer. I'm not eloquent. I just say to God, this is what I need. And it's worked for me for quite a number of years. I'm just like, God, I really need this right now. Can you help me out? I don't have any eloquent words. But you know what? It says don't speak in rhyme or riddle. The word's really strong on that. And we can't speak in rhyme and riddle to our horses either. So giving inconsistent messages leads to disconnection. And Bree and her, I couldn't understand why I ducked into Bree's class or clinic or whatever it was. And then it was just to reaffirm that God wanted me to talk about connection. But Bree brought up about, and I can't say it as eloquent as this one, she's awesome. Everyone that's presented's been awesome. So just let me get my little helper notes up. A lost connection equals trauma. When we lose connection with our horse, he is lost. When we lose connection with God, we become lost. So at some point, we've all lost connection to something. At some point, we've all suffered trauma, no matter how big, no matter how small. Disappointment, root of rejection. My biggest one right now is that I never feel worthy enough to come and speak in front of people, but I know that it's because of him that I'm able to come and share. And you know, I don't know if we ever fully get over our trauma, but if we take it to Jesus, we can do everything that he's commanded us to do, and that's the only reason I'm sitting up here right now is because he commanded me. So getting to that, how do we get that connection back? How much pressure can you apply? So we've been talking about not applying pressure. If we didn't have pressure applied to us, would we ever move? So put your hand up, okay, and I'm just going to see if you never had pressure applied to you, would you have moved in the direction you were moving? Has pressure made you move in the direction that you're moving? Yeah. So, what does a horse do? And I'm going to bring a horse in afterwards, but I didn't want it to be distracting because she's going to really test my boundaries with absolute love. So, how much pressure can you apply? How much pressure will God apply? I want you to, in your table, and if you don't have a friend at your table, please find a friend because it's nice to have a friend. I sit alone, and trust me, it's not a good place to be alone all the time. I put myself in that box so that I don't get pushed away. So I'm the retreat type rather than the, get in your face type, and we've all got that type of horse. We've all got our different ways, and it's hard to connect with people we don't know. But I want to create connections among you all now. So if you don't feel comfortable, that's fine, I'm not going to push you. But what I want you to think about is the time that God applied pressure to somebody in the Bible. I think there could be countless times. And so if you're not comfortable joining in a table, if anyone's comfortable to, shout out some uncomfortable moments in the Bible that were created by pressure, God wouldn't let them get away. Yeah? Esther? What was the story of Esther just in a popcorn moment?
She had to save her people's lives. Just at the sight of her at the wrong time. And so she gave up everything. So years to be prepared to be married.
Yep.
That's not pressure.
What's some other pressure that God's applied to people in the Bible?
Moses, when God first came to him, he just you're going to go do this. And Moses kept giving excuses, and God kept saying, no, I'll give all these people to you. I'll give your brother Erin to speak for you and all this stuff, and I am with you. You are doing this, no matter how many excuses you make. You are doing this.
Yeah, definitely. So God will get a hold of us some way. Some of us actually have to get broken a bit more, and I've been broken a fair bit over my time because I'm a bit strong-willed and rebellious by nature. I'm very determined. I wouldn't have got to where I have with horses not to be determined. To get to be a professional horse person, you've got to be quite determined, but God took that away from me, and now I own horses. I don't get paid to do it. That's kind of interesting, but somehow he makes a way. So I still sit back thinking that I own 28 horses. It's great that people might not see any value in, but that's okay. With horses, to move them, we've got to put pressure on them. We can't just go, okay, you're not connected with me yet. We've got to find a way to get connection. God keeps going, it's kind of an action. We have to take action. So I'll just get my helpy notes up again. So God operates with a purpose. He has a purpose for every single one of us. The horse needs a job. I think I'm going to upset you all now. So I've heard a lot of stuff spoken about the horse, why we think God created the horse. Doesn't line up biblically to me. Things must be biblical, and I know some people may like this. We like mushy, good feelings, and that's great. But the word of the Lord speaks about the horse very differently. So, a horse needs a job. In the Bible, the horse is mentioned. Can anyone give me an answer? You know what? We'll do a multiple choice, A, B, or C. Okay, because I'm going to help you out a bit. Because does anyone actually have the answer? I didn't until this morning until I went to the Word. So the Word is the answer. So I had no answer. And I was like, I get a bit upset when I read the Bible because it doesn't align with my viewpoint of the horse. It actually doesn't. All these romantic notions that we have. And it's okay to have stories to connect with people. There's nothing wrong with using a scripture that connects a rescue horse's story, but it is wrong when we're putting that onto the horse. Because if we look at why the horse was created, we're creating unintentional horse abuse. It's quite nice to go and rescue a horse, but if you can't put a plan into action to help that horse to succeed in life, you're letting it down. So I love that places like Hope Reigns have employed themselves as a horse person, specifically to do the horses, because people can't learn every little mannerism about a horse unless they've lived and breathed them. And you know what? I see people's dreams fall apart. They get this horse and they think it's going to be like the movies. It's not like the movies. You're not just going to step in there and go, I'm connected, you love me, this is great. It's going to push back. It's going to challenge you to grow. So, put down 1,000, put down 200, and put down 150. How many times, and look, this is like Google, so they could have it a little wrong, but it would probably be close enough to being right because there's some good Bible scholars out there, which is not me. But how many times is a horse mentioned in the Bible? So, 1,000 times, put your hand up. We've got one taker going, one's going twice. Okay, the next one is, what number did I choose out of my random little head?
I need a sparkly dress like Vanna
You
White.
do. So B, 200 times, put your hand up. Okay. C, 150 times. Did anyone actually know the correct answer? So 150 just sat in your spirit and felt right? Guess what? No, it's correct. And you know what? God just plugged me in there to say, go with discernment. We go with discernment when we work with a horse. Cross-reference something if it doesn't sound right. And I'm sorry, I got woken up this morning and I have a completely different chat to what I was doing, and I had to cross-reference what God said about the horse. And every time I go to the Bible, I don't get that warm, fluffy, what we say about a horse. But what God says about a horse actually works for me. Because we need to move them to action. So, as mankind, once connection is created with God, we're called to make an action. We're not called to sit, we're called to move. Are you a war horse or a show horse? I want you to have a think. We're in a battle, people. We need to save the lost, and sometimes we're not popular when we speak the word of the Lord. But the word of the Lord is the truth and nothing but the truth, and we can't let the truth get in the way of that. Okay? So the truth is, God created horses, with actions. So, next one is, who was the biggest horse lover in the Bible? Jesus. I put Jesus. Let's name some other Bible characters. Put
You have 3 for this one too, or do you want 4?
you just put random names from the Bible, and then
Okay.
and then just choose some random names. I'm glad I got a scribe because I'm actually dyslexic. So I actually came here and I did a clinic around the armour of God through the use of carriage driving, which will eventually be on my webpage for free. You don't need carriage horses to do it. If I'm dyslexic and I can write a Bible study, God can use anyone. So I broke my leg really badly this year and I nearly had my leg amputated. So God gave me a lot of time to sit and ponder. And instead of getting caught up in my own anxieties and worries, I decided to write something. So, who was the biggest... You want to read it out, Brie? Because I can't see from here.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, you're right. A, Jesus. Put your hand up if Jesus was the biggest horse lover in the Bible. Let's go with the sermon. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you get it right or wrong. If that's the way you feel, you're allowed to feel the way you feel, so long as you line it up with the Word of God.
Solomon?
Solomon. Okay. David.
Conqueror.
Joshua. The answer is Solomon. How many horses did he bring into Egypt? A lot. So, okay, he brought, the Bible said, 1,000 horses into Egypt. He built 4,000 stalls. No, thank you, sir. I don't want to clean that many barns out, that many stables. Mine live in paddocks. I have horses in big paddocks and they run as a herd and they're real happy. Some boss the other around, but then I go in and I boss them around and I move them around, and sometimes we'll have different dynamics, but on a whole, they just get to go and be horses. That's what they were created to be. And you know what? I can leave a horse, I found out, for a year, any horse, traumatised horse, well-educated horse, bring it back in and take it to a nursing home, take it to a school. We don't have any talk back from our horse. They talk back, but they learn very quickly that they have to submit to pressure. Same as we have to learn with God to submit to pressure. And I know some of us might be a bit surprised. I would encourage you to get into your Bible and hear what God says about the horse, so that when you're stepping into the pen to work with your horse, you're bringing the agenda of what God created that horse for, which was for action. So, I think that's going to move me. So he created the horse to work beside us and with us. Okay? And I think Jesse Bowman, you said the dominion. Can you say what you said about the dominion over the... Yeah, that was really well said, and I'm not that eloquent. Could you just say that again for me, please?
The Bible tells us that God has given us dominion over the fishes and the birds and the animals. There's a difference between dominion and domination. He doesn't want us to dominate the animal, work with the animal, beside the animal. We teach and we learn from the animal. I think that's the difference.
Yeah, brilliant. So we have our world view around horses, but I think you need to get a biblical view around horses too, if you want to work with horses. Everyone's working great with people. Guess what? My problem is I don't work real good with people. I do people. I do life coaching, and it's hard hitting. It's not nice. So I work with kids in juvie. You know what juvie is? Yeah, my kids steal cars, But you want to know the amazing thing is, and I'm going to share this story, right in the centre of town, I've got my setup. We've got a pretty rough community now. People's cars go missing, stuff goes missing. They'll just walk into your house and take what they want. My paddock, I've moved now out of there, but my paddock in town was protected. We had probably $50,000, $60,000 worth of carriage gear in there. And never once did anything go missing but one water tank, and I bless that person. They obviously needed it more than me. So, but in all that time, with everything that we had in the paddock, right in the centre of a town, where our youth are running crimes, but you know what? Most of those boys did my program. They protected my paddock. So by connections and building relationships, they did actually, and it's the same as what I'm going to build with this pony out here. So this pony has, some stuff going on, and I'm going to show you some techniques that just might help. But everything's timing too. So, now I'm going to move on to what is natural horsemanship. I've heard natural horsemanship used a lot here. To me, as a horse trainer, it gives me the shivers. I understand why it's been labelled this, but it's commercialised. It's a catchphrase. Oh, I fell in love with natural horsemanship. Natural horsemanship's the way. No, the way of the horse is the way. Watch what another horse does to another horse in the paddock. If a horse wants something from another horse, what do they do? Take it. They push them. Thank you. They put pressure on the other horse, like God puts pressure on us. And look, I found out I do a bit of Pirelli. I do a bit of everything. I don't know who I am. I just know that I love horses. I don't claim to be a horse trainer. The only thing I got good at was horses. But you know the reason I got good at it was, I guess, horses always healed me of my trauma, even though horses brought trauma for me in the racing industry, a lot of trauma that disconnected me from God. The horses were still my go-to. So they have that natural capacity that you were all talking about to help heal our wounded hearts. But what about when it goes wrong and they start pushing in our space? Do people have that happening a bit, that their horses are pushing into their space and they're just a bit unsure how to, get them out of their space? But because of all this natural horsemanship, everyone feels you've got to be connected first. What does a horse do in the paddock to connect with the other horse? What do they apply? Pressure. Does natural horsemen teach that straight away? They talk about pressure, and yes, you need to have a relationship, but have many of you got to watch wild horses, or horses just like I have wild horses? I have 28, it's great, chuck them all together and watch what happens. And just let it happen. Like horses sort horses out. They don't need us getting in there sorting them out. Yes, it's too bad, too sad, but we're putting our human emotion onto them. Oh, the poor darling. Oh, it's like, you know what? He has his place in the herd for a reason. A herd is set up for a reason. The body of Christ is set up for a reason. Don't interfere with it. Stay in your lane. It's really important. And then get out of the way. Don't rescue. Don't rescue the horse. It's acting badly. Tell it. You don't need to disconnect the horse from you, but you need to create a healthy boundary and connection to where that horse needs to be. And we have him in our space because it makes us feel good. But is that good for the horse? We've got to think, we've got to keep these horses happy. Because otherwise, where else do they end up? Not everyone, I love your guys' big hearts, but not everyone's going to go and feed a big animal. People start with good intentions, but when the funds get tight, when there's no money, that horse stands in a paddock with no feed. So you've got to really think, I need to set this horse up for success. So I call it the way of the horse, and I know some other big trainers called it that, but I came up with it first, I swear, maybe not, but that just for me... like Ashley said, we all created equine assisted learning, and I thought I was the first one. But it's amazing to see men have been working with horses for I don't know how long. I'm not that great with history, but... So we've learned horses move each other to get a desired result. So I need to learn how to move the horse to get the desired result for it to meet the purpose that I need it to meet. For some of you, you just need the people to connect with the horse, and that's fine. For me, I need much more from my horse so I can confront people. Because without confrontation, without pressure, I can't change their life. And sometimes it's not nice when we get pruned. But we always do it with love too, though. But we are called to tell the truth with love. God will move us to get desired results. This can be uncomfortable, but necessary. Balance. How do we find this? And I think Pat Pirelli says 59% love, 61% leadership. We're getting that 2% really wrong. And when we get that 2% really wrong, well, yeah, we'll see shortly. So backing away from pressure creates problems, and it creates a problem with a horse. If when that horse throws back pressure at us, we've got to have rhythm and tempo. That's another thing. We spoke about rhythmic movement for humans. Why not for horses? Okay? We describe working with horses as a dance. To dance, we need rhythm and tempo. How many of us are truly dancing with our horses? We had that romantic notion of that person on the thing, like Ashley of Liberty, where the horse joins in with us. But before she got there, she applied pressure to that horse in a fun, playful way to make it play with her. So you watch a horse in the paddock, it comes up, and what does it do to its paddock mate if it wants to play?
Choose on him.
Choose on him. I don't recommend walking up and chewing on your horse. Just saying. But you can create energy. So if he's disconnected, you want to get him disconnected. You want to get him connected on you. So I'm going to bounce around. I want to get it to that point though where it's so quiet that it looks like I'm doing nothing. But usually it has to get big before it gets small. A bit like God's got to get big with us before it gets small, before we get really quiet. Who's had those moments? God's had to get pretty big with them. It didn't come natural to... Yep. I think we all have. I don't think anybody's alone in that. I think that's the way God's created us. What is rhythm? Any musical people here? What is rhythm? Yes, rhythm is a pattern. Horses' hoof falls are patterns. Okay, tempo. What is tempo? How fast? Okay, so we need to think about our tempo. When we need to ask, when we don't need to ask. So it is like a dance, but you have to like the beat of the music. And I'm not musically, I can do music with horses, but with horses, it's actually like a higher level training thing. And some of you may have dressage training. I don't claim to be any particular thing. I've done so many different horse sports because I like to challenge myself. And yeah, I'm a master at none. But, you know, I just give them all a go. But rhythm and tempo. What is the rhythm and tempo of a horse herd? Watch that. See how those horses push each other around. Yeah, you got... Yep. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yep, that is correct. So I'm not here to teach you like high-level horsemanship. I'm just here to try and put it down in layman terms. And I think nearly anybody, okay, would know a little bit about music. Is there anyone here who doesn't like to listen to music? Some people don't, but on a whole. So I think you could explain this to a lot of people whether they were horsey or not. So I have people come to me who aren't horsey. But rhythm and tempo actually comes from people top in the world. They've come up with a training scale for horses. And this training scale works. And the first thing to get connection is rhythm and tempo. So from rhythm, tempo creates, leads to balance. We need to be balanced. Remember that 59 to 61? Balance. Balance leads to relaxation, and relaxation leads to connection. Connection leads to peace. When we're connected with the Father, we're in perfect peace. So, why are you worried to apply pressure? I want you to search your internal motive here right now. Most of the time it's because we don't want to offend. Most of the time because we want everybody to love us. I'm going to give you some reality. Your horse isn't always going to love you, but it's in their best interest. Your child isn't always going to love you, but love without boundaries don't work. God set boundaries and parameters in his word, and he is a God of love, but he got big when people didn't listen. So I want you to think of the Bible stories. So sometimes I'm going to look a bit crazy in the pen with this pony. I'm going to get big. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a little before the end of the session. And I'm also going to determine when I finish with the horse. I sometimes only work with my horses for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. That's when I come in and say, well, that's enough for right now. I don't know what's going to be enough or where I'm going to stop. I might have to keep going too. Because sometimes if you stop before it gets better, then sometimes you've got to go, I'll take the little win I've got right now. So it's all about finding balance. But you've got to have rhythm and tempo, timing. And that is something that can't be given to everybody. It takes a lifetime to develop with horses. It takes being in the pen with them and handling. I don't know. I'm not skiting. I've probably done thousands of horses. I was a professional jockey. I had to get on horses I didn't even know. Even now I can grab any horse out of its stable and have it do what it needs to do. And I was going to get a volunteer to share, but God's just moved me in a different direction. But they were speaking about the pressure, and I think you'll get to see the connection here through pressure with the pony I'm going to use. Well, I'm hoping you are. I'm feeling really vulnerable right now. But hey, if it doesn't work, well, you know, it doesn't work. Because I don't know these horses. But I've managed to get a connection with most horse within a few minutes in their box to stop some of their, you know, mannerisms that they've been doing. We work with the horse's minds, and we need to show the horse how to do this. A horse needs to find peace in rest. Most of the time, horses are in the paddock in peace and perfect rest. So when we come into their space and we start asking, well, the moment we come into their space, we've added pressure. Don't kid yourself. We've taken them from their natural environment. So now we have a responsibility to train them to the pressure. Because you know what? A horse that has never been taught to take pressure, people go, oh, my horse is so quiet. They explode. They're dangerous. And that is a note I want you to take home and have a look with your horses in their foundational training, because a horse that can't take pressure is dangerous. They're the most dangerous type of horse. And I have people all the time say to me, come work with my horse, it's quiet, but it won't do this. And I'm like, it's not that quiet. Wait till I squeeze it. Wait till I squeeze that. And sometimes I've got to squeeze it, you know, but I will do it in a kind and ethical way with that horse. And sometimes I'll say that's enough for the horse and I'll walk away. There's never any time frame to when I come in and work with the horse. A horse finds peace and rest, a bit like our relationship with Christ. We need to show the horse to hold its own space. This is the first step for me training a horse, especially to go on the carriage. If my horse cannot stand still in the carriage, if my horse has no manners, do not put in a carriage. You are tempting fate. I'm just saying, if your horse cannot stand and control its own space, do not put it anywhere near a carriage. So the fundamental training, same as if my horse can't get standing still before I move on to the walk, still. Sometimes I'll create pressure and movement, but then teach them to stand, teach them to find it. So I'll try and demonstrate with the pony shortly and make sure I've got enough time. So when I ask a horse how to get a horse to move, what is this all about? The horse is like, I'm content just to eat grass. I've got to explain to the horse with my intent what I want it to do. If I just want to have a feel-good, happy, fun moment, that's great. I can come in and get that horse to go, and that's beautiful in itself, don't get me wrong. I love those organic, natural moments in the paddock with my horses. But I also have reality. I have work, I have jobs. Guess what? We all have reality. We have to go to work. Do we always want to go to work? No. So the horse has to show up. We have to show up. So I have to find a way to make the horse want to show up in an ethically kind manner. So I have to open up the communication to do that. Where are we going? I have to really do have some kind of goal, but I have to break it down. Okay, so if I want that horse to understand its own space, I have to think how I'm going to go about that. Because that's my first fundamental. A horse stays where it's told. I don't like a horse coming up to me and just, it makes you feel good. guess what? That horse starts knocking people over. That horse then gets to another barn. And that horse, as you guys call it the kill pen, we call it the doggers back home. So they end up at the sale yards, they get auctioned off and they get sent to the doggers because they're that traumatised and mixed up in the head because no one put boundaries in place. No one told it was time to do something. And it might sound hard, but there is a time to do things. How will we know we have arrived or are making progress? So this will be interesting. I'm not going to talk a lot when I'm in here. I want you guys are smart enough to see the aha moments. I don't need to tell you the aha moments. I hope there's going to be some. Oh, Lord, show up. So we'll wait and see on that one. There might just be some. But that's okay. I can deal with that. And why is it worth it? What is in it for the horse? Do we ever think from the horse's perspective what's in it for him? We come into it from our perspective of what we want. The same as we come to God for what we want. Oh, don't know where that came from, sorry. So, why is it worth it? You know, we come to God with our own agenda of what we want. But really, you know, it's just, yeah. But you've got to have a goal. So, interesting facts. 87% of people drift through life without definite goals or plans. Where are you going to end up? You're not going to find your lane. 10% have goals but just keep them in their heads. The 3% who have goals that are written down accomplish from 50 to 100 times more during their lifetime than the 10% who have goals and keep them in their heads. So when I go on with the horse is created for action. The horse is created. It needs a goal. It needs something to do. Just having those connected moments is not enough for a horse, and then that's when the behaviours come in that we start seeing with our horses. So, discipline without love always equals rebellion. So if we just keep giving love to our horses and we give no discipline, they're going to rebel. So I'm going to try and show you some, tips. And my pony, Belle, isn't that like in the movies? You whistle and your pony comes running to the corral for you?
She's on her way.
Thank you. So I'm going to explain this right now. 40 days in the wilderness. Who knows the wilderness story? How long should have that journey taken? 40 years, not 40 days. How long should that journey have taken? 40 days, 40 years. 11 days. I love Belle too much, so I'm going to get busy with her. Because I don't have 40 years. And we're wasting our time walking around, pussyfooting around. Sorry, do we say that in America? Sometimes we've got to get real. So now you're going to see the crazy Aussie in action. I'm making myself vulnerable here. This is really hard because I feel under pressure. Do we see a rhythm and tempo now? Watch this horse's rhythm and tempo as it comes in here. And I may have to talk through this, I may not. I don't know if I can help myself now. So what is God trying to prune away right now in my little pony Belle here? And I feel a bit bad because this sand's heavy and she's not fit. But she... Thank you. Okay. Let her have a roll, that's okay. That's not good, but that just shows me the connection's not there already. Sorry, Jenny, just right there. When a horse comes in, there's no space commanded right now, so I'm going to show you something that you can do when little Missy Moo... eyes are on me. Yeah, that's good. I'm happy, that's connection. I've come in here with a mission and purpose and not creeping up on her. Yeah, that's okay. This is interesting. Just... Get up. I'm sorry. That's dangerous. If you're this pony's not in program, and rightly so. Here we go. just in my space and my presence alone. I think I worked with this pony for 2 minutes yesterday, maybe 5. She's going to do that, that's okay. I'm going to move her hindquarter. And they say at. They say she kicks. She's not going to kick me because I'm going to push that away from me. I'm going to push that, I'm going to apply pressure. There we go. What happened when I applied pressure? I just got in and I got the job done. I'm not gonna walk her. She got to learn. Instantly already. She knows that means something. A little bit of pressure. Now, this pony has to learn to walk in step with a rhythm and tempo. She can't push me. That's okay. I'll disengage. And I can see she runs everywhere. Lick and chew. I will push that away because this pony, I've been told, will bite and will kick. But really, she's just learnt to be dominant. I have to teach her, for her to have a good life, she has to learn the boundaries. Okay? Ponies aren't evil. A lot of people say they are. I've rescued so many of these guys now. See, then she went to push. I didn't do big movements. I'm not buying into the drama. So it's a little movement. If she carves my space, and that's not enough to get her out of it, I'll get bigger again. But this is working way better than I thought. Thank you, God. I haven't had to do my flatten that I've had to do with And I'm going to reward her now because, that's not something that... So see here, she's looking out. That's okay. She's not got her attention on me because she's away from her mate. And I'm going to honour that. And this is okay. She's doing this because she's stressed and I'm not... So I don't know if anyone's reading... This is a bit of a stress trigger right now for her. And why do you think she's stressed? Anyone that knows this pony from where we are, why is she stressed? What's she not connected to? What does she normally have in the box with her? So now she's going to get upset with me, and that's okay. But I'm just going to stay in this connection. That's not okay. So she's been allowed to do that. Now I'm going to move her. Because that's what another horse would do on the paddock to her. Not taking that rot from my pony. This pony knows too. She's had some good education put into her once upon a time because it hasn't taken me long. And ponies are smart. There we go. And then it's all about pressure and release. So now I'm going to ask her to walk. And she's got to wait. See, no rhythm and tempo. That's okay. See there, when I regulated her with a bit of she came to me. So instead of letting her run and forcing her, that's okay, I'll let her move. And as soon as she does that, I stay in this safe zone. She's trying to line me up and that's okay, but I'm fine with that. Lick and chew. I just politely did what another horse would do. Now, I'm not saying do this yourself, because if you don't have the timing right and you get in the wrong spot, you don't want to, and it's wisdom that she's not being, but this pony will very quickly, so now I'm going to play some games with her. Her attention's not on me. And there we go, I unstuck her. So what I mean by unsticking her is, I move the hindquarter. So her stress trigger is to roll, but because she's not paying attention. I need her to think, there, I've got an eye and an ear. And I'm going to work on this side now. See, I knew she wouldn't want me on this side. I've got to be able to get on both sides of the eye. Good girl. And then... Everything's about timing too. See that there? I'm not getting big with my movements. I'm just like another horse saying to her, hey, lovely. Hey, lovely. won't touch you. I don't want to touch you. So the worst thing we can do is reward too quick, because I don't think she's doing anything that I would reward for. And see, people have normally backed off her by this point. People have normally gone away from her. I'm not going anywhere. So I'm keeping myself in. Good. See there, I use that cone then to have a real distinct moment of I want you to weigh. And that's okay. But then, and I don't have connection yet, and that's fine. But it's not going to come out with some pressure with this pony. She's just going to keep pushing people off, keep flicking them off. And usually the people we're trying to reach the most are the ones that flip us off and we walk away from them because they're hard. Usually we've got to look a bit deeper why they're pushing back. Okay. So, that there, I don't care what you think of that. I can't hurt a horse any more than what it hurts me in the paddock. You look what another horse does in the paddock, you're going to get real narky now. That's fine, bring it on. So, am I losing my composure? I'm staying calm. I'm finding it comical, actually. This is why I love working with ponies. They all come like this. And now, some of our most traumatised go into nursing homes. Good girl. So she will take a bit longer, and I thought once I started squeezing. See there? She's dropped in, and she's going to get a bit more pressure. And this isn't hurting her. Think what another horse does in the paddock. Once she gets that... Because she's used to being... See how I'm staying safe though, people? Place of peace. Place of rest. I got off a case when she did the right thing. Rhythm and tempo and timing is everything in these circumstances. And I'm not saying guys get in and do this. I'm not saying I'm anything special. The only thing I got good at was horses, and I'm still not that great yet. I'm always on a learning journey. I go pick people's poo up. I can't afford lessons. I'm a self-taught horse person. So, you know, oh, good girl. That was a better connection then. And we stopped right in front of the camera. Hi, my least favourite spot. But I found a moment of peace where I can connect in a really healthy manner. And on that note, I'm going to leave Belle no clapping. Okay, because we're going to take away from the moments, either eye and ear, because I'm going to lose her very shortly. There's the shake of the head, the lick and the chew. And she's got some stresses in her head that I can't fix right now. And the reason is because they've been there for a while with inconsistent handling. And I think Jessie said that too. See there now? I'm going to finish and I might do more work with her later if I'm allowed to. Would you like to... I wouldn't just come up every time we're with a horse and I'm going to give you a lesson here, we're intentional. She's not a dog. Come around behind me here. Come out 2 horse lengths where that horse can see you and you're safe, because this is a pony that wants to lash out. Don't be... Stop for a second. You're getting a lesson here. Walk up to the horse's front leg and pat its shoulder. You've just opened invitation. When you walk up to someone, how do you walk up to them? So we come up with an introduction. If we had to just come up here with no intent and no purpose, she won't take us seriously. So even though she's little, every time you're with her, you've got to mean something. I'll give you help later. There we go. Thank you. You're awesome. You're doing such a good job. Okay. 6 minutes. There we go. I would have kept going with that pony longer I was back home because it warranted it, and I probably will. But any feedback from what you saw then? I know that's a little bit more probably confrontational than what we're taught about natural horsemanship. Anyone got any feedback? If it made anyone feel uncomfortable, I really do apologise for that. But I feel that like my mission is to save one horse at a time. And I know intricately everyone's a horse lover and they never go in intentionally wanting to give their horse problems. Same as I say to my kids, I never intentionally went into this parenting gig to screw you up. I just got some things wrong along the way, you know, like I didn't get given a manual. I didn't do it on purpose. But man, I made some mistakes. But that's okay because you know what? We still have a strong connection now. Because it was love, but when there was time to fix things, we fixed it. So don't be scared to fix stuff. Get real with Jesus, fix some stuff in your life. And then when you do that, he's going to launch you. And guess what? I'm still a work in progress. Oh my goodness. Thankfully, he gives us new mercies every single day. So, thanks everyone.